Yo, what's going on YouTube? And today we got Channel 5 with Andrew Callaghan. And today he is interviewing Nick Shirley interview. Now, this dude Nick Shirley, I'm pretty sure, I don't know if he's right wing. I assume so. He does talk very right wing, so he's a right wing. I don't know if Channel 5's left wing, but I could say so. But they're both independent journalists. I don't stand for either side. I just like watching. I just like seeing. I'm just another point of view. And before we watch this, I've seen a bunch of clips on it, and it was very interesting, so I wanted to watch it. Exposing Channel 5 interview lives. He posted this 24 hours ago. It's a short. Let's watch this before we watch the actual video.
All right, this is super important, and I also learned a great lesson here. So the other week, I sat down with Andrew Callaghan in Channel 5 to do a sit-down podcast-style interview for his channel. And when he goes and posts the video, I see he just posted an hour-long interview. I said, well, that's weird, because we actually spoke for around 2.5 hours. And then I go and watch the interview, and I'm saying, well, what is this? This is not what happened. For instance, this clip right here.
What American city is prospering right now?
Austin.
Austin. Name another one.
El Paso, Texas.
El Paso, Texas is prospering.
Yeah. Nashville's doing good. Phoenix is doing good. Basically, any place with low state tax is getting a lot of.
In any place that's not Democrat.
I don't know about that. I mean,
name a Democrat city that's prospering right now.
Well, it would have to be one that's affordable.
Name one.
Denver.
Why are you smirking? It's not prospering.
All right, so that's the clip Andrew posted, but this is the actual interaction of how it went.
Denver.
Why are you smirking?
Because I don't know if it's prospering.
It's not. See, you can't even answer the question. It's not prospering. Denver's not prospering.
I agree that Democrat-run states are doing badly.
Kind of weird that Andrew didn't put that in, right?
Should have left that in.
Base or something would not be happy with that response because he obviously.
I think it was pretty funny. You should have left it in.
And anyways, let's move over to the next topic when we're talking about Somalians being known for pirating, as 89% of the fraud that has been charged inside of Minnesota.
Okay, so now they're talking about Somalians.
This is the interaction that Andrew posted.
Somali community, or do you see it as both?
89% of the fraud is being committed by Somalians.
Where exactly is that statistic from?
You can pull it up on the screen. You'll find it.
I just want to know where it's from.
You want me to find it right now?
For sure, just so I can, I don't know, I believe you. I just want to make sure we have the exact.
Here, right here. Yeah, and it's not racist to say it. Probably. And when I go.
This is what happens when I show him the fact that 89% of the people who have been charged for fraud in Minnesota are Somalians. This is what Andrew had to say. But remember, he conveniently left this out of the interview.
89% of those charged in connection with major.
Wow. Identified as Somali Americans.
Well, looks like we do there.
I'm interested to see what you put in this interview because it
looks like there is a problem with fraud.
So there you go. That's just two examples from the interview with Andrew Callaghan.
Are those the only ones?
Went out of his way to try and make me look bad, which is not cool, and I wouldn't say that's like very benevolent of him to do by any means. But I promise you guys, if I ever do an interview with anyone, you're gonna get the full product because I think that's just like the most benevolent thing to do. Anyway.
Okay, now I do believe you should always keep in the full interview just because, like, he was only editing out the shit he didn't want to have in the interview. But let's see it. Let's watch it. Let's watch it.
My video.
I do fuck with Channel 5 as well.
Fraud in Minnesota is the
most
viewed
5
video ever by a creator, longer than 10 minutes.
It's an hour long.
Other than the name of Mr. Beast, and altogether it did around 500 million views.
Who do you think were the main people who signal boosted the video and brought it into that true viral orbit?
Elon Musk, who shared the video. JD Vance, he shared the video.
Of what?
The attorney.
Wait, what was he doing?
Well, she actually didn't share it. She reacted to the video a few days later. Literally, quite frankly, every account on X saw that video instantaneously. Health and Human Services, they froze all funding to childcare inside of Minnesota, and then they're asking for businesses to prove that they are legit businesses.
Now, so I'm gonna give you all context right now. So he did a YouTube video, right? Nick Shirley. He went to Minnesota. Minnesota has these learning centers that are for kids, right? That are getting millions of tax dollars and millions of dollars of funding, right? Into these centers that are ran by Somalians, and he went inside there and there was no kids around. So basically, he exposed that it's a scam, and that's what he's talking about right now.
Before they give tax dollars to these businesses that are not really businesses.
As far as that main center that you visited, Quality Learning, aka Quality Learning Center.
Yeah.
Was there ever any kids there in the first place?
No. So that daycare center, it's been operating fraudulently. It's actually had over 90 violations over the past few years. And the day that I went there at 11 a.m. Their operating hours are from 2 to 10 p.m., they're now saying. And that's actually not legal.
So you said you went there at 11 o'clock in the morning?
Yes.
And their operating hours are between 2 and 10 p.m.?
Allegedly.
But if that is true, would it have made sense that you didn't see any kids there?
Yeah, it would have made sense if I didn't see children there. Either way, whether I was there when kids were supposed to be there or not, why are all the windows boarded up? Or why are all the windows blacked out? Why is there no phone number that leads to anywhere? These businesses are supposed to be operating to serve children. People should be able to check in their child there and their children into these daycares. It's literally impossible.
Did you see some of the footage released by CBS Minnesota affiliate station that showed kids entering and exiting the facility?
Yeah, the one on the ABC. Yeah, so that one received over $1 million. It's licensed for 40 children. CBS, I believe, they go in there the day after I had posted my video. Obviously, they're gonna have children there when they're getting all this heat.
I take my kids here, 2 o'clock to 10. Yeah, there's a lot of kids inside.
And same thing at that daycare. Why are all the windows blacked out? This is a daycare. Why can't a lady just give me a paper to enroll a child? This door is locked.
This facility is licensed for 40 children.
Well, I guess maybe. I'm just trying to think from all perspectives and help you clear up some misconceptions.
Yeah.
I mean, I figure like if you're going with a camera and like 3 or 4 dudes, some of whom were like larger security looking guys, some had face gaiters on, maybe there's a fear that there's like something weird going on or it just seems unfamiliar and they feel like they don't want to let you in.
Yeah, they might feel that fear, but if they're operating legally, why would they have anything to fear? And the neighbors around it said they have not seen a child there for 8 years. If you go on Google Maps right now, you can actually see the images of the daycare progress over the past few years. And starting in 2021, the door is boarded up from the image from Google Maps. So I think like if you show that, it's actually pretty crazy to see. And then they move the building and they cut open a door on the backside of the building as well, where they had the Quality Learning Center. One man's been living there since 2017, hasn't seen a single child. And when I go and post my video on X, a lot of people were saying, well, Nick, you went during winter break. Well, actually, I went December 16th. School was still in session, so kids should still be going to daycare. The following days after the video then goes viral and gets over 100 million views, they have a person come out and he says, no, we're open. I'm the manager. I'm the son of the owners. We're open. At that same time, simultaneously, the lady who's in charge, the Commissioner of Children of Minnesota, says the daycare closed a week ago.
Quality Learning Center, which Brown says permanently closed last week.
While we have questions about some of the methods that were used in the video, we do take the concerns that the video raises about fraud very seriously.
So I filmed my video, daycare is allegedly open. Then, a few days later, the lady says that the daycare was closed, while that guy is outside telling people that the daycare is open.
I mean, it seems like that learning center has had a serious history of violations.
Quality Learning Center, yes.
Yeah, going back to 2020.
Yeah, it's literally not a daycare.
But how could they have violations related to childcare if there was no kids there?
Yeah, the way they're operating inside of there, they had the violations. Those people are not able, they were operating fraudulently inside that daycare.
But fraud would mean there's no kids, but the violations relate to like poor safety conditions that put the kids in danger.
And so why would they be operating and why would Minnesota continue to be giving them millions of dollars if they're receiving all these violations?
That seems like a really valid question.
Yeah.
Why do you think Minnesota would be giving a daycare center with so many violations so much money?
Well, that same man at Quality Learning Center who was saying that they were open after the commissioner was on the live stream saying they were closed a week ago was also partying with the mayor of Minneapolis.
Is the manager of the infamous Learning Center in Minneapolis also one of the guys that was dancing in the back of Mayor Jacob Frey's election victory video, the one that went super viral where he thanks his constituents in Somali for re-electing him last month?
So you feel like there's kind of like some nonprofit industrial complex type of deal happening?
For sure.
And the agenda is just for people to leech off the government and get free stuff?
81% of the Somali population inside Minnesota is living off welfare. And 89% of the fraud being committed inside Minnesota is by the Somali population.
So what do you think the solution to something like that is?
Go freeze the funding. Each business can then prove if they are legit, and if they can't, cut the funding. And so far, no business has sent any information to to the HHS showing that they're legit as of today. They've had 3 days to do it. They haven't been able to prove it. They haven't even tried to make the effort to show that they're a legit business.
First it was closed, then it was open, and now we've confirmed it's closed again. That's all after the owners recently rejected allegations of stealing taxpayer money.
Do you trust America and the government specifically to handle our taxpayer funds correctly and properly if they have access to more of them?
No, I don't think any of us should. I mean, just last year alone, over $120 billion were misplaced.
So you have a general distrust in the government?
No, I don't have a distrust necessarily in the government, but do I think we should trust the government 100%? No. It's kind of like having faith. Like, do you want to have faith in that God's real? Yes. When we die, will we for certain know exactly where we're going? You kind of walk with faith in a way where you hope that the people that you elect are going to work for your best interest. Do you know for certainty that the best thing is happening inside the country? Every single time you pay taxes, it's going to go to the place that needs it? No. But on that case, do I feel certain that I know where I'm going to go when I die because of my faith? Yes. But does that mean that it's going to actually happen? Who knows until we pass the other side. So, and then another thing is, we as Americans, how should we feel comfortable knowing that there are daycares receiving millions of dollars while some families are paying upwards of $70,000 a year for their children to be going to daycare?
Do you ever hear about the Amy Bach case?
$70,000 a year for daycare?
Yeah.
Amy Bach acknowledged the government has proven fraud among meal sites and vendors that she sponsored under Feeding Our Future, but that it was others, not her.
If you look at the probe that began in 2023, as far
I
as
need a 2-minute play my fucking lower back, bro.
And different types of fraud, there's been over like 60 convictions and millions seized from the fraudsters who took the money away.
Yeah.
You feel like the state hasn't done enough.
Well, Tim Walz has said they've been stopping to fight fraud since 2019, 2026, and they're still having millions of dollars being stolen, billions of dollars.
Breaking political news out of Minnesota. Governor Tim Walz, who of course was the Democratic nominee for vice president in 2024, has ended his re-election bid for governor. This comes as pressure has been growing around this widening welfare fraud scandal.
We've got conspiracy theorist right-wing YouTubers breaking into our daycares, demanding access to our children.
Oh,
So I decided to step out of this race, and I'll let others worry about the election while I focus on the work that's in front of me for the next year.
I have quite literally saved America millions of dollars. That's why you saw the mainstream media attack me instantaneously after I exposed $100 million in fraud. Why would they not go investigate the fraud? Why would they investigate the person who investigated the fraud?
Where does that $100 million figure come from specifically?
Yeah, so you had all the daycares. With the daycares alone, you had millions of dollars in fraud. And then inside of the home healthcare businesses, they were warehouse-style industrialized buildings where you had 14 of the same healthcare companies all working within the building, and they could not even give you a rate. We know how expensive healthcare is, and they're giving these companies millions of dollars. And the man David, who's in my video, he's the one who has the statistics and has the numbers on how much these businesses were operating.
It is far worse than anybody can imagine. You heard it's 7 to 10 billion and maybe more, and now the numbers have been revised and put out there publicly that they think it's more like 8 billion.
How did you come into contact with David?
He just messaged me on Instagram, and he said, Nick, I have the information about the fraud taking place here inside Minnesota. I've been looking into it for years. I have somebody from inside the Capitol who has given me the numbers of CCAP funding. I've been trying for years to expose this fraud. Nobody will listen to me. Please give me a call.
Has he shown you that data?
Yeah, that's what's inside the video. When you see the video and the screenshots of the CCAP funding, that's all straight from the Capitol of Minnesota.
So who is David's source?
David's source, he has somebody inside the Capitol.
And you don't know
and
who it is?
And that's public information as well.
Who is it?
Who is the person's name?
Yeah.
The lady's name, I did not work with her. However, the information that was provided, I can't tell you her name right now, but I could find it on X because but she's also inside the government there inside Minnesota.
But you like fact checked all that and you looked it all up?
Yeah, David, all those numbers are straight from the Capitol.
So a couple days ago, Minnesota State Representative.
Oh, I guess my fucking back be hurting when I do these long ass interviews.
Working with you ahead of your coverage. How do you respond to that?
Yeah, I had no idea who she was.
Our caucus has been working to expose fraud for years, including working with Nick Shirley.
Minnesota House GOP leaders say they provided the YouTuber with information in the now viral video.
So you feel like she's just clout chasing?
Yeah, that's what I literally put in the reply on the tweet. Her campaign freaked out when I tweeted that. That's the lady who I was referring to earlier in this interview. So her staff was the people that David had received the information from because David reached out, and she works inside the government, so she did actually a good job by doing what she's supposed to do by serving the people and giving that information.
Yeah, it says that Harry Niska, a Republican representative who's a staffer for her, was the one who gave the intel to David.
Yeah, that probably sounds about right. But good on her for actually caring about fraud. Fraud's been taking place for years.
And it's really affected the city on that big of a level to the point where people like David are feeling
Prince.
Yeah, because what they knew is Minnesota's not Minnesota anymore.
As far as immigration goes?
Immigration goes, fraud. They just released a new thing where they're giving people 20-week leaves for work leaves, and they've also raised property taxes. Meanwhile, you have billions of dollars, quite frankly, literally
20-week work leaves? I need to move there.
To fraud. It's not a hyperbole, it's fact. Government has shown that upwards of $9 billion has gone to fraud. I would vote for anybody but Tim Walz inside that state of Minnesota.
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad you cleared that up because, you know, it's like the same reason that people lost trust in traditional media is because they felt like there was no barrier between the establishment and, you know, corporate news pundits. And they felt like CNN was an arm of the Democratic Party and then Fox was an arm of the conservative wing. So the fear now that I've thought about before, and I'm not saying this is happening, it will probably take like 5 to 10 years, is that somehow the political powers that be figure out how to use the independent creator economy like on a sleeper cell level to do their bidding for them.
Yeah, that could happen.
Like with influencer contracts and stuff like that.
Yeah, you saw the DNC do that. All the people that are out talking against me, a lot of them have cut checks from the DNC.
Through like a paid influencer program?
Yeah, and it's open.
Really?
Public.
Would you ever agree to something like that?
No, never.
Hell yeah.
Like, I don't need it. I make enough money doing my videos off YouTube.
Wow, politicians pay.
Like, why would I ever turn against their best interest?
Influencers.
And you mentioned that the mainstream media has kind of been attacking you since this video did its rounds. What are some of the things they've said? Like, what's their main point of attack?
Yeah, if you listen every single time they bring up Nick Shirley on these news sites or the internet or on their TV, they'll say right-wing YouTuber, MAGA YouTuber, conservative. It's never journalist Nick Shirley. It's right-wing journalist Nick Shirley.
Yeah.
MAGA influencer Nick Shirley.
Yeah, when I interviewed Hunter Biden, they did a RV YouTuber was the one they would use for all like which actually sounds pretty cool. Like I'd want to be that, but I'm not that. And then like a liberal podcaster, and that in the Atlantic said Gen Z influencer. So
yeah, it's just like they're so mad that we have the opportunity, people like me and you, to upload a video and to get more views than them. Essentially, we're a threat to their entire industry. That's why they hate us. That's why they will never give us credit.
Independent journalism.
Doing what I'm doing, when they see me get more views than they will get onto their website for the whole entire year on one single video, yeah, it's going to make a lot of people mad.
So-called evidence comes from a man who has posted anti-Muslim and anti-immigrant content in the past. CNN's Whitney Wild speaks to the man behind that video and takes a look at his claims.
We're from CNN. Can we talk to you? This is MAGA YouTuber Nick Shirley.
MAGA,
so
you
going back
damn.
to the first time we met.
That's
so
fucked.
What do you remember about that first interaction?
Fucked up.
I had just started making YouTube videos again, and I was all by myself. You were going to AmFest, so was I. I was going to interview people about what's happening here inside the country, and I thought I had no idea exactly what I was walking into. I just knew there was going to be a lot of people to interview about what was happening inside the country. I thought it was like called America Fest, so I had no idea what Turning Point was. I had no idea who Charlie Kirk was at that time. It was funny because I'd watched you before on All Gas No Brakes, and you're always in that beige suit, just moving around and doing your videos, and so I was like stoked to see you. It was great meeting you the first time.
I remember
That's
I
what's
first
up.
saw you and you were setting up a tripod and I was like, yo, what should I do? And you told me, you were like, you should go cover the border. And I told you, I was like, I want to go to Nogales to cover it. And you were like, no, you should go to Lukeville.
Yeah.
So you were the one who actually sent me in the right direction to do
Yeah,
those
you
interviews.
actually said, hey, can I get that information? I'd love to do something with you. I sent you the information and ghosted me right after.
Well, now the whole world's going to know that there wouldn't have been a border video without my guy Nick right here.
It's the truth.
It's the truth. Was that, so you said you had just started making videos in 2023, but had you done interviews before that?
Yeah, so I had actually started, I've been doing YouTube since 2017 when I was a sophomore in high school. I started just wanting to have fun with my friends, and I started watching YouTubers, and I saw kind of like the lifestyle they lived, and I was like, oh, I'm fun. I like to have fun. I'm creative. I can be entertaining. I could do YouTube. Like a lot of us think when we're in high school, like how many discussions have you had with your friends where you're just like, bro, that could be us.
You know, most YouTubers wouldn't come in here and capture this because of political stuff. You know what? I don't care. We're out here, baby. Like and subscribe.
Parents of children who
shit.
play Roblox. If your child was sexually exploited,
Oh,
abused,
hell, bro, what?
Let's go back to the young Nick Shirley. Where'd you grow up?
Yeah, so I was born here in Utah, spending a lot of time with my family, friends, playing football, basketball, soccer, track, you name it. Sports was my entire life when I was younger.
True American life.
Yeah, true American life, going to church, getting decent grades, having fun, hanging out with friends, riding your bike around.
And you said the church. What kind of church?
Yeah, so member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Is that the same thing as Mormons?
Yeah, but we don't call ourselves Mormons now.
Because of South Park?
No, it's just, we're not Mormon. We don't follow Mormon. We follow Jesus Christ. So we actually want people to refer to us and know us as members of the Church of Jesus Christ.
So Joseph Smith is not a prophet?
No, he's a prophet.
In addition to Jesus?
Jesus is a savior.
Oh, okay.
He's also a prophet, but he's also our savior. He's your savior, he's my savior, he's everyone's savior.
Thank you. So what do you think is the main thing people get wrong about LDS?
We're Christians. We're just people who love God and love Jesus. And yeah, we do follow higher standards. No drinking, no smoking, no sex before marriage.
Damn.
Go to church on Sunday, follow the 10 Commandments. Follow the Bible. We follow the Bible.
One of your earliest videos that you now deleted was about some of those loopholes.
Oh yes, about soaking.
Have you ever thought about soaking here at BYU? No.
Because there's a lot of misconceptions on that, and that's not right. Soaking's not right.
Is it real though?
I interviewed people at BYU, and they might have said it was.
So you think it counts?
Yeah, oh, 100%. 100%.
Wow, the rumors are true. Kids here at BYU actually do soak.
They soak and they hump.
Definitely.
I think that's like my biggest advantage, that I don't really have many vices, whether it be pornography, whether it be alcohol, whether it be cigarettes, whether it be vapes, whether it be nicotine. That stuff doesn't tempt me.
And you feel like living a clean life that way gives you like a journalistic superpower that allows laser focus so you can just become a content machine?
No.
It's kind of what you're doing.
Well, that's just who I am.
But I mean, I feel like if you drank and partied and stuff, you might not be able to make as many videos.
Well, if I drank and partied, I wouldn't be able to show up to my job at McDonald's.
You'd probably be able to hold down a McDonald's job if you had some years.
But if you're referring to being on time and all that stuff, and
I'm talking about the sheer volume of content you've been able to produce over the past year.
I'm a highly functioning person.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Aside from the recent stuff, what pieces have you been most proud of since I last saw you at Turning Point USA?
I'd say my Brazil videos, those were very awesome. Going to the favelas.
Damn, that's
that was
awesome.
An experience that I can't even believe favelas are real after going there. Because I came this close to dying in the bottom of a destroyed house on the top of Rio's biggest favela.
When you say close to dying, like there was a gun in your face?
Yes, and if I didn't pay the man, I would have died.
You think so?
100%.
Você dá-lhe uma olhada que você vai ver que aqui não tem trégua.
Oh, whoa, this is heavy.
É, aqui, entendeu? Não há paz.
Sim.
Paz para a polícia, fogo.
That guy, after I interviewed him, he got beat up by the gang leader and kicked out of the favela for letting me interview him.
Some other unknown, or perhaps known by some, Nick
That's
Shirley Lord,
wicked.
Deceased rapper YBC Duel.
That'd be hella crazy to do.
It was Brandon Buckingham.
Yeah.
I had no idea who he was.
Special guest right here.
Oh, we got special guests too. Talk to him.
This is Nick Shirley from Salt Lake City, Utah. The Latter-day Saints, the Mormons. You ever heard of the Mormons? This is the first Mormon, the first Church of Latter-day Saint member ever to be out here in Philly like this.
Just like that. Just like that. Look at his sneaks though.
Yeah, so that was an equally, I would say, or similarly dangerous.
Yeah, no, I'd say the America hoods are about just as dangerous as the favelas. For instance, Chicago, you have armed militias walking around Chicago as well. Same within Philly. Think about how many young people are dying because of gang violence. Like, I loved your video you did in Baltimore about them kind of combating that and showing that like community really can make a difference and people really need to be looking out for one another because it's not worth dying for.
So going back to high school, right? So you said that after high school you went on a mission trip, right?
Yeah.
Where to?
Chile, Santiago.
Is that where you developed fluent Spanish?
Yeah, I actually was fluent in Spanish when I was younger. When I was here in Utah.
Damn.
Growing up.
I'm not even fluent
I was in a
Spanish.
Spanish program from kindergarten to 4th grade. Spoke Spanish fluently. Moved to Washington. Similar to you, moved up to Seattle area. I didn't practice my Spanish anymore. I lost it. Decided to go on this mission thing for our church. And they sent me to Chile, Santiago, and I learned Spanish again.
What's the purpose of a mission trip?
Yeah, you're there to go share the gospel, the restored gospel of Jesus Christ, and to teach people about Jesus and give them the opportunity to come and
Oh, those are the people that like ride on bikes and like suits and stuff, right?
That's all you're supposed to do.
At what point did you start to really take political interviewing seriously, and why did you dive into that realm?
Well, I think when I started seeing people get trafficked into the United States from the border and started seeing mass corruption with inside the government, I just like couldn't believe that. I met somebody at the border, she gives me her WhatsApp, and the next day she texts me and she's in New York City. I was like, how is this happening? How are people just being trafficked around the country? How are little kids just coming over here? How's there a 15-year-old girl, or I think she was 17-year-old girl from Dominican Republic all by herself? How are people doing this, and how's the government enabling this to happen? I remember going to the border for the first time and I saw migrants coming over the border. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Like, shouldn't they be running away?
Wasn't Governor Abbott the one transporting people from the Texas border to New York City?
Yes.
So you feel like there was mismanagement of the border on an executive Biden level and a state level?
Yeah. And I think like Governor Abbott, that was his way.
What do y'all think about that?
F you to the
Is that real?
to the sanctuary cities, and for the Democrats for just accepting and letting this happen, saying, okay, well, we're not going to deal with it. You guys go ahead and deal with it. And we'll give them bus ticket to get out of our state or city.
So you feel like migrants kind of became political pawns for the two parties in America?
Yeah, well, we all know, like, obviously it was because they wanted to vote. Fill the swing states, fill the big cities. We would have seen what was going to happen, but thankfully Trump won.
How do you think Trump's doing so far this term?
I think Trump's delivering, especially on crises like the border. I think that's been the major win of this election. Right now, you're not seeing illegal migrants come into the country. Me and you both did videos at the Loopfield border. We spoke with migrants. That was the most inhumane thing that I think America's seen in years, as far as letting people be trafficked into the United States and then bringing them into the system, making them rely on the government, not giving them working visas, putting them inside of shelters, busing them all around the country. Families were separated. Thousands of children went missing. The government was literally trafficking children into the United States, trafficking people, incentivizing them to leave their houses in Colombia, leave their house in Ecuador, and then to come to the United States, and you're living in a shelter in New York City.
So is it true that gangs are inside of the Roosevelt Hotel? This is me confronting a group of Venezuelan migrants who are potentially dangerous gang members of the gang Tren de Aragua outside of the Roosevelt Hotel in New York City.
Most of these migrants, they came here, they thought life would be good, and they end up getting put inside the shelter and became essentially slaves to the system in a way, where they're relying on the state to give them money, they're relying on the state for housing, they're relying on the state to give them a work permit to be able to work. Like, that's not right. That's pretty mean if you ask me.
Well, I suppose the reason they hopped the border in the first place because the immigration system is so backed up, right?
Well, yeah, there's major issues with immigration here inside the United States, but you just can't walk into the country and think that you're going to be treated just like a law-abiding, tax-paying citizen.
Mm-hmm. Who was filming most of your stuff back then?
Me, myself, and then I also bring my mom with me. Definitely. She's like a producer on the channel, kind of.
So they're coming right now because it is an opportunity for them to come, and they are taking that opportunity, and they're coming here. And Nick and I wanted to show, because all of America, we just sit at home and watch this on our TV and get angry with it. And we wanted to show like what is truly happening. We have been there.
Did she have any kind of career in content creation prior to you guys working together?
She actually went to school for journalism and to be a broadcaster.
Did she have a hand in your decision to really like start taking things more seriously as far as political coverage?
No, actually, she actually didn't really believe in like anything I thought politically. But as you know, during like 2020, for instance, I couldn't, on my channel, I couldn't put Trump's name in a title or a thumbnail without the video being demonetized. Mm-hmm. And so there was no incentive to actually create political content in that time, especially if you're a smaller creator, because you couldn't get the video to be seen by anybody. Mm-hmm. And so you couldn't really make those videos. And then when I did get back from that mission, I could then make videos on politics, and the censorship kind of got lifted because of Elon Musk buying X. People hate on Elon Musk, but they don't understand like what he actually did by buying X. Because of him, you're actually able to post stuff on YouTube and not have to worry about being censored or worry about not being able to get the video monetized.
Yeah,
if you
is that
can't
true?
Get your video monetized, you can't make your videos. And so I think what
Can't make
did
money.
really did change the shape of our society. Because then you also saw other platforms like Rumble, Follow, Facebook. They lifted their censorship. YouTube lifted their censorship. So without Elon Musk, none of that would have been possible.
Was there a part of you that was wondering why the Trump administration and various allies promoted your expose so hard when they did?
I think it hit the heart of every American being able to see that their money that they pay for taxes is going to fraud. People like to talk about how our money is going to other countries or how it's being used wrongfully, but people can't actually see it with their eyes. And that was one of the first videos ever where people could see that people were abusing the system and taking dollars from the United States citizens, and they're actually not operating a business.
But I mean, I'm just talking about if you look at Google Trends specifically, like the phrase Somali fraud was borderline non-existent. It just so happens to really kick up through your piece on December 16th.
Yeah.
Which is the exact same day that the Trump administration and Kash Patel released the redacted Epstein files list that by all people was seen as like a disaster with hundreds of pages of blacked out stuff. Was there a part of you that was curious if maybe there was people in the GOP who chose to signal boost your piece as wide and far as possible in a way to distract and move the goalpost away from that?
I don't know. Like if that was their initiative, it probably worked pretty well. But I just posted my YouTube video, and that's the beautiful thing about the internet, is you just post and see what happens. Every week I've been uploading video. To me, that was just gonna be like another YouTube upload. Like I didn't know that it was gonna be the most viewed video ever on X. You're trying to say that it was some coordinated attack to get people's eyes away from Epstein.
he was slicking outside.
The majority of the traffic, it has over 600,000, I think it has over 600,000 likes. So it wasn't just Elon Musk who was sharing the video. It was everyday Americans who were showing that video because they're sick.
Hey, what's up, guys? Channel 5 Live reporting here from the new mobile editing studio. So statewide fraud is a serious issue. Defrauding people is bad and not cool whatsoever. And I tend to think that it's a good thing when citizens and citizen journalists will get to the main from a figure phone, like actually put a date real Trump aimed. All is how many American story news operative and watching this you can buy put on which you do too.
Known for
Africans?
No, Somalians.
Saying what are Somalians known for?
Say the thing that's on top of your head.
Captain Phillips.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm also an American who doesn't know any Somalis. Well, actually, I grew up with a few in Seattle, but I'm not like very in tune with the culture.
Yeah, and so why is 89% of the fraud happening inside Minnesota by Somalians? Yeah, and why have apartment complexes and locations inside of Minnesota, white people have been pushed out?
White people?
Yes. Inside these apartment complexes, you will not find a white person living inside of Cedar Riverside, for instance.
Where'd they go?
They got pushed out.
Like to low-income areas?
They got pushed out of, I don't know where they went, but they're not there. Cedar Riverside was originally housing for the College of Minnesota. There's a bar there called Palmer's Bar. It used to be a staple for Minnesota. However, the Somalians inside of Cedar Riverside made complaints that Palmer's Bar was too loud. They literally changed their state flag to be more like the Somalian state flag. Flag in Minnesota, Tim Walz said their other flag was racist, and he called people like me white supremacists for talking out against the fraud that's happening inside of his state. He's been talking about fraud since 2019.
How do you feel about the way the, I guess, liberal side of the mainstream media has characterized the reporting?
They're defending fraud. I'm showing people what's happening. I showed it exactly how it is, as it is, and now they're defending fraud. Even if one of these businesses is operating, why should any American be happy or be satisfied with daycares ran by all Somalians receiving millions of dollars? And out of the population of Minnesota, I believe it's around 5.8 million. You have not seen one single Minnesotan say that their child was inside those daycares.
I've seen a couple interviews with people who are saying their child was in the daycare.
Who are they?
Somalis.
Yes. Why isn't
it's a Somalian daycare?
White people, black people, Mexicans, Asians, why aren't they saying, oh, these aren't fraudulent daycares?
Wasn't it a predominantly Somali area?
Why are all the daycares inside of Minneapolis? There's white people, there's Mexicans, there's Asians, there's everybody inside Minnesota. In Minneapolis, how come no other person has said, no, this daycare is legit, here's my child? I don't support our money going overseas to Israel either. I don't support our money funding Ukraine. But what I can actually see with my own eyes is the money coming here inside the United States that's being spent fraudulently. People don't understand that.
What do you think is the biggest thing you risk doing this type of work?
People dox me, there's death threats. I have 24/7 security right now because of how crazy people are mad at me for exposing fraud.
What are some of these death threats? Like, what do they say?
One person sent me a photo. You can grab it from my ex and put it on the screen. He said, this is going to be you on April 27th on the side of a highway.
Bro, like, it's never that serious. That's one thing I need to let y'all know about this, bro. When y'all see this, politics is never this serious, bro. Like, and it's never serious to even, like, send people this shit. Like, this shit is lame as fuck, bro. I already know one day I'm going to get death threats, and you're lame as fuck for doing that shit, bro. Whoever's the first to send me a death threat, you're lame as fuck on my life. Whoever does, you're lame as hell. Like, this is going to be you on April 26, 2026 in a muddy ditch alongside in the highway. And it's him. It's a dead guy. Enjoy your last couple of months, buddy. Like, bro, that's lame as fuck.
His head decapitated in a trench. Another person
So weird.
openly said, tick tock, Nick, Shirley's time's coming. Why are Democrats calling me a white supremacist for talking against fraud? I have 24/7 security with me right now because people think me exposing fraud is bad.
And was that something that has kind of like deepened your perception of the left as being like super crazy and messed up?
Yeah, I just think everything they say they're the party of peace, party of acceptance. Meanwhile, they call people like me fascists and Nazis. Yeah, they call me a fascist. Meanwhile, they won't let me speak. One lady, she came up to me, she took her shirt off, started jumping all over me, and she said,
I've actually seen that video.
Say Black Lives Matter. Say Black Lives Matter. I said all lives matter. She said, "Get out of here, white boy." Like what they're saying does not make sense.
Black lives matter. My life matters too.
No, it doesn't.
Well, I think it was probably, it hits a little different now than it did back in the middle of 2020.
But even then, all lives matter.
Yeah.
That should not be a hot take.
Yeah, but the conversation was specifically about like police brutality in black communities.
Okay, cool. All lives matter still. I just can't fathom how people can side with people who have gone so far left to the point where they call people like me a fascist or Nazi, or they think the take all lives matter is controversial, or they think that when somebody gets deported when they've been here illegally is a controversial take.
It's going to CCOP. How did you end up?
What do y'all think about that?
Down there?
Yeah, so on the topic of immigration, I was doing these videos and I was seeing these cartels come, these caravans come through. I was like, well, I'm gonna join one of I'm gonna join a caravan. Like I'm gonna join in their journey. So I was looking at the map and I thought El Salvador would be like a perfect section point to go join a caravan.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy idea to go join a caravan.
No,
but
it's a sick
What's a
idea.
caravan?
At that point in time, I wanted to see what's happening with the immigration. And so I thought, okay, I'm gonna go to El Salvador. I'm gonna go speak to people. I'm gonna find a caravan, and I'm gonna go from El Salvador to Mexico and make it all the way to the United States.
He
I get
did
to El
that?
Salvador, and they're like, no, we don't have any migrants here. We just actually put all of our gangs in the prison. Like we're thriving. I had to change my plan to make a video about how one country actually solved migration to the point where they're actually having people come back to their country versus leaving.
And you finally got up in there.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm still the only American to ever go in, and you actually asked for the contact, but I couldn't give it to you.
Yeah, you know what I was thinking about, man? Is like, on that note, how do you think I could like build more credibility on like the more conservative side of the aisle as far as interviews go?
Don't be afraid to say, what are Somalians known for? When you know the answer inside your head, but you're too afraid to say it.
Well, I just don't know if it's based on a stereotype or if it's not.
You know what they're known for. You said it. Pirates. So you're scared.
I'm not scared. I just want to
No,
I'd have
you
to
were
go
scared 'cause
and
you had to
talk to
think.
them.
You had
I'm
to
not
think.
scared. I don't want to go out and say things about people if I don't know the community.
That is
Like, I
true.
go to the restaurants.
That is
I
true.
gotta go
I asked
to
you the
some of
question,
dances.
what are they known for? And I knew you knew what they were.
Because Hollywood promoted Captain Phillips.
That is true. That's the only reason I know. Yeah.
Cheeseburgers.
So why'd you question your thought?
I'm not that smart.
So you're asking how do you gain credibility and trust? Well, you say a fact for a fact.
And the fact
not
is
a
that
fact.
the first thing I think of when I think
And the
of
fact
Somalia
is, what are
is
Somalians
Captain
known
Phillips.
for? Pirating.
Well, that's in Somalia. There's no pirates in America.
Who's stealing all the money in Minnesota?
Pirate.
That is piracy. So how do you gain more trust?
That is piracy.
Don't be afraid to say a fact or an opinion.
Even
when
if
you
I know that I'm dumb.
Yes. By not saying anything about the death of Charlie Kirk as well, I thought that was pretty messed up. In a way, he's somebody just like me and you who was making videos, putting it on the internet, and then people literally killed him. I thought that was kind of messed up of you to not publicly denounce what happened to Charlie Kirk.
I did.
I never saw anything on Instagram.
What am I
actually
supposed to say?
You never shared anything.
I interviewed the guy who was debating him while it happened, and I mentioned a bunch of times that it was horrible and it represented like one of the worst pivots in American politics ever.
And I didn't even watch the interview because I didn't want to watch that.
Well, you should watch it.
I don't want to.
Why? It's historically relevant.
It is historically relevant.
He doesn't want to,
I did
even
lose
though
respect for you when it felt like you went silent.
Well,
he's saying he lost respect for you when he went silent, but he was in an interview and did an interview with the guy who was literally interviewing Charlie Kirk while it happened and spoke how badly it was. And then you're still saying, like, bro, I don't
You should watch the
like,
video
bro,
'cause I
what?
say some stuff in it.
Okay, cool.
Do you ever see a world in
Dude,
which independent media will overtake corporate traditional media?
Well, we still have boomers, and they're still watching TV, so that is a lot of their audience. But when me and you are 50, 60 years old, do I think that CNN and those companies will be able to operate at the scale that they're operating right now? I think CNN has around, I know they have more than 1,000 employees, and it took one person to expose $110 million in fraud in Minnesota. And then when he does expose it, they investigate the person who exposed the fraud versus investigating the fraud taking place. Nobody has trust in them. Their trust is at all-time low because people like me are able to go and talk to the liberal woman calling me an ICE agent outside the daycare and also talking to the man who's lived there for 8 years who's never seen a child. It's impossible for them to do that.
So you think once boomers go?
Yeah, I think.
What do y'all think of mainstream media?
My grandparents aren't here anymore.
Which we don't want to happen, but it has to happen.
Well, it's just a part of life that people will die.
Yeah.
But at that point, I think mainstream media will not really be a thing.
So what can we do to avoid the mistakes that mainstream media made in the past? Because at one point they were quite trusted.
Yeah, at one point they were quite trusted, but actually were they? Do we know that the history books are correct when only the victors write the history? And at that time, they didn't have social media to combat what.
Now, that's why Napoleon got hate. If you never watched the movie Napoleon got hate because it shows in the movie only the victors rewrite the history because they are the victors. You know what I'm saying? If you watch the movie, it all makes sense.
At that time.
I'm just talking about like Walter Cronkite, like when there was like 2 stations and like, you know, there wasn't such a divisive news media corporate competition taking place to where people were competing for views by using pundits and having a 24-hour news cycle. Like when the written word also meant more as well. There was more faith.
Well, I can't speak on that because I wasn't living that generation where you had to get on
You
your
could
TV.
even go back, I mean, honestly, the 24-hour news cycle, if you talk to older people like in their 30s and 40s, post 9/11 was pretty much the first time where cable networks had to keep their airways on all the time. So they started filling slots with not correspondents and not field pieces, but just pundits. So what they would do is they would get somebody, 2 people who fundamentally disagree and just have them yell at each other for like 2 hours to drive up engagement and keep people watching. So news kind of became like soap opera. Everything kind of became about engagement, like almost like reality TV.
Yeah.
And then gradually trust faded because it became so partisan.
Yeah, I think it's also a sign of the times that we're seeing distrust and we're seeing the world get a little bit crazier as well.
So, I mean, what do you think we need to avoid?
What do we need to avoid? I think we need to call things out for facts. And you shouldn't be afraid to say when I ask you, what are Somalians known for? You're afraid of your viewers watching this video calling you a racist or Islamophobe.
No, to clarify.
You knew that word, Andrew. You knew you were saying pirate. You knew in your mind.
Well,
you
you're
knew
asking
pirate.
Because I've seen Captain Phillips.
Stereotypical mind. What do I think comes?
In your,
what's the
you're
first
afraid to
stereotype?
say it though.
You're asking me what's the first stereotype that comes to mind when I think about Somalia?
I said, what are they known for?
They are known by Americans who don't know Somalis.
And what are they
for
known
Captain
across
Phillips.
the West
Yes.
for?
Well, the West is
This is
very
right.
much
This is
indoctrinated
correct.
by Hollywood. I'm just saying I want to wait to answer that before I actually have engaged with the community on a level to where I can actually say like they're known for this type of thing.
Well,
I
when they're
don't wanna
committing 89% of the fraud in Minnesota.
But that wasn't the question. You asked me, hey, what are Somalis known for? And of course, I'm thinking of the movie because it's a Tom Hanks Hollywood blockbuster.
Yeah, but it's a fact that they're committing some sort of piracy in Minnesota. 89% of the fraud is committed by Somalis, and that's a fact. When we talk about building trust in the future of media, we need to be able to say things for what they are. If Tim Waltz goes on TV and calls people like me a white supremacist, it's my responsibility to call Tim Waltz. He's enabled this to happen because he's afraid to be called a racist or an Islamophobe. Meanwhile, our generation can't even buy a home. Meanwhile, people are stealing millions of dollars, and he's afraid to say that because he's too afraid of being called a racist or an Islamophobe.
I think the one main issue that I feel like unites the left and the right, at least in a certain income bracket in the U.S., would be affordability.
Yes, 100%.
I think it's probably the main issue that we're talking about.
Mhm.
Deep down, I think that the main difference here is diagnosing how we can get to that point. You know, because when you're talking about your issue with fraud, you mentioned healthcare being expensive.
Yeah.
So we're all talking about the same thing here. It's just, I think the main difference is how are we going to get there?
And then when we have someone like Elon Musk, the smartest man in the world, who offers his help to get rid of fraud here in the United States, that could potentially cut down prices for healthcare, that could potentially help cut down prices
man in the
for
world.
homes, that could potentially give people better wages.
I
and
thought
then
we
they go
Elon
and
now.
attack him.
Well, I think one of the biggest problems is also the private sector controls so many of these things, like medicine and also real estate. Like, it's not like home prices are going to get knocked down because the government has more money.
It might be able to help people not have to pay so much in taxes.
Yeah.
It might help people to be able to take their dollar to buy the next thing. $120 billion in 2024 going towards fraudulent activity here in the United States. And then we go and attack that person who's trying to combat that.
Well, I guess one of the fundamental questions, too, that I mentioned early on in the interview is, like, do you trust the government to handle a surplus in tax revenue if fraud is eliminated?
Say that question
Like,
one more
let's
time.
say, like, fraud is totally eliminated and the government has, like, an extra stipend of money that they have that they could technically redistribute to things like making medicine cheaper and helping
Yes.
us pay rent. You think that the government would actually do that? Like, do you think they would genuinely invest in social programs that help change the affordability crisis?
I think so. And that kind of goes back to having like faith that we hope our politicians are going to do better and work for us and us not be working for them. Trump's the only president of our lifetime who's actually not even collecting a salary, other than what people will say he's feeding his ego. Well, he's actually not even taking a salary. He's lost money. He's been attacked. He's been nearly shot and killed twice. He's had, I think, was it 2 or 3 assassination attempts? I want to say 3. The guy in Pennsylvania, the guy at his golf course, and there's another one. And people want to keep demonizing Trump like he's some sort of devil. He's not even taking a salary. He wants to put tariffs on other countries with the goal of...
Now, what I'm going to say is, no matter who we elect for president, there is always someone that is running the country that is above the president. I don't really think the president makes all the moves, in my opinion. I think there's always a higher up. There's definitely someone who isn't the president that's higher than the president that really runs shit. Who do we know? Who do we think that is? I don't know, but that's just my thing. I just think the president is a puppeteer.
Hoping that we can have more
Not
money.
talking about, I'm talking about all presidents. I'm not even
Even
talking about the
giving
one right now. I'm talking about
military
just,
a
that's
bonus
just
for
how it
Christmas.
is in general.
And people are saying tariffs are bad. Why should we
There's
be
always
paying
someone
more money
higher
than
up running it.
Indonesia for sending stuff into our country?
That's why I don't vote.
So,
And
like,
It's also like if
that's
Trump's
why I
cutting
like
all
just
these
sitting
different
back and
social
watching.
programs and stuff. Who's to say that if he had more money, he would reinvest in the people?
What do y'all think about
For
that?
instance,
Am I
when
wrong?
people say he's cutting out funding for food stamps, he's telling people, all right, you're on it for this amount of time, but you need to be showing that you're trying to get off it. Trump is actually incentivizing people to go make a better life for themselves. He's even giving children, he's showing kids how to invest money at a younger age through the stock accounts he's created for them. Michael Dell,
That's true?
the owner of Dell, he gave each child like, I think $250 so they can see how to invest their money. Right now you're seeing more people who actually have the power to make a change in America than ever before get involved in the politics, and not because they want to, but because they've been forced to. But then you see people come after them for it. I don't know what you're gonna title this video.
Nick Shirley interview.
Okay, sick. Yeah, but I just think there's so many issues in the United States right now, and we can actually go out and combat them. We can combat the immigration crisis. We can say that illegal migrants should not be here. The word is illegal. If you're gonna come after me for exposing fraud, something is morally wrong with your brain, where you've gotten to the point where you think fraud is good.
That perspective is probably more like these people are socioeconomically disadvantaged.
They're not, though. They're here in America. We all have the same opportunity. They're Somalian Americans.
Well, there's pretty significant like funding and financial disparities between areas in the U.S.
Well, 81% of Somalians are on welfare.
But welfare doesn't necessarily cover everything. It's not like they give you like, you know, a ridiculous amount of money.
But they have the same opportunity I do when I wake up in the morning to go create the best life I can possibly create for myself. Everybody has the same opportunity if you're a United States citizen.
Do you guys think that's
Black,
true?
Mexican, Asian. I mean, look at your crew for
No.
right now. You have a Asian, Japanese man. I don't know who he is.
Native American.
You have a Mexican with a face tat.
Look at that Mexican and all the opportunity he's got. And what about him?
He's a white American with face tattoos, and he's working just with you.
Yeah.
So the fact that people think that they don't have the same opportunity or they can't go create a lifestyle they want, I don't believe in that. I've never.
Some people have head starts in life, and some people don't. That's what I'm gonna say.
Never worked for anybody in my entire life. I have created everything I have. Who knows what I can do?
Do all people have the same opportunity?
Yeah, same here.
To make
I'm
something
28.
themselves? Yes.
So
But
maybe
do
you
they
have
all
your plans for the future,
start at the
Andrew?
same level?
Because you
No.
want to make YouTube videos and tell
Some
you
people
like
got to
your
work harder,
Yeah.
and some people got to
I wanna
work
make
less
YouTube
harder,
videos until I'm 85.
depending on what
That'd be sick.
they have to
So,
worry
what do you wanna
about.
do in the future? What's the long
Me,
term plan?
I don't have to worry about food. I have a place to sleep in. I have a family. I got brothers. I got grandparents. I got hella people that support me. Not everybody has that, you know.
Long-term plan would be,
And that's
I
not
think
even
what I
based on
just
skin
saw
color.
Is actually creating change inside.
I know
of
people that
America, a
some
video
people.
that
I know most people that
actually
struggle that
created change,
aren't
and so I'd like to
minority,
continue making the world a better
and I know
place,
some people
whether
that struggle that are minority.
Cutting off fraud, or
I think it just matters what you
speaking out
have in your
against
life.
corruption, or helping the old lady next to me.
Because
Are you ever worried the Matrix
that's
will
a head
come for
start in
you if you
life.
continue to accrue power and influence?
Well, they are. Like, when you say the Matrix, like, I think that's like the mainstream media or people, but like, who do you think the Matrix is?
I think it's the C-suites of the corporations that own the major news channels.
Yeah, I mean, they can try, but that's why I think it's so important that we have platforms like X. Say the mainstream media hates you, you can still make a business off of people who support you.
Is there any coverage that you regret at all?
Yeah, there actually is some coverage that I think I've like messed up on. Or not that I necessarily messed up on, but maybe not have been totally informed, which is hard because when you're making a YouTube video every single week, you just can't be like the expert on every topic. So there was a time when I went to Ukraine and I made a video and I was missing, I kind of like geographically, I'm from Utah, so all the mountains and stuff, you know, like north to south. And someone when I was in Ukraine, they asked me like, do you want to go to where the first place where Russia invaded, which was a place called Busha? And I didn't know like whether I was north, south, west. And then somebody interviewed me after, because I had criticized where U.S. tax dollars were going. Somebody interviewed me after asking me, did you go to the east? And I said, well, Yeah, I went to Busha. I thought that that's where Russia initially invaded. That was one of the main places they invaded before trying to go to Kyiv. So that was like a mistake on my end, and I felt so bad after that. But
It's not that bad of a mistake.
That we made, and I just made it publicly. It didn't make me want to do YouTube less. It was just a learning lesson, which is hard for people to have an actual learning lesson publicly.
Yeah, definitely.
I'd actually like to ask you a question.
It's not that bad.
What's up?
What do you think about Trump?
I don't like him.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, do I think that he is somebody who's going to fundamentally change the structure of the U.S. for the better? I don't think so.
So do you think just by flooding the country with 20 million people helped us with affordability? It's not a human right to receive citizenship here. If anything, it's an opportunity if you get it, and you got to follow the rules for it.
I agree with that. Yeah, for sure.
So I think sympathy towards people who want to come in here has in a lot of ways destroyed the opportunities for our generation.
I think if sympathy overpowers
What do y'all think about
your
that?
ability to look at a situation objectively, that would be an example of you kind of being hypnotized by the wrong sources of information. But I think you can have sympathy for people struggling looking for a better life.
It's just simple supply and demand. If you have 20 million people who need to come and buy a house or rent an apartment, and you have other people who need it, you're going to raise the prices.
Landlords have been raising the prices systematically since the 1980s. I mean,
But
the reason you can't buy a house is not because of an immigrant. I mean, they want us to think that because it's an easier scapegoat.
Well,
that is true.
If you look at the graphs, when you receive all this immigration, the price of homes has gone up more than normal.
I don't think those two things are connected. If you look
but just based off simple supply and demand.
Those you can.
If you bring in 20 million people, they have to be able to sleep in at least 10 million different.
I see what he's trying to say. So he's trying to say, since 20 million immigrants are coming in, that's increasing the supply and demand. And basically, what Andrew Callahan is saying is, that's not the reason the supply and demand of houses are increasing in price. That shit's just happening just because landlords are fucking greedy as fuck. That's just how it is.
Yeah, but
what do y'all think?
340 million people. I mean, I'm just saying
home
values rising.
Who's right?
Rising is a result of greedy developers, landlords doing price gouging, so many factors. I'm from Seattle, a city with not that much immigration from the border. And since 2013, before all of this stuff, rent had doubled because of Amazon moving their corporate campus downtown.
H-1B visas and all that stuff.
No, I'm saying Amazon as a tech company themselves bulldozed my home neighborhood, built apartments for their workers who are legal, and most of them are from the U.S. but from surrounding suburbs, and none of us could afford to live, so we had to all move to other low-income areas around, or just build our own way and move into an RV like I did. So I don't think there's a correlation between home values rising and migrants coming.
I think that would be very stupid to not be able to come to the conclusion that supply and demand is
they're
really
all
rise
poor,
the prices.
so landlords raise prices when rich people move in because they go, we got some big bucks in town, like in Aspen or somewhere.
But just a normal sized home that used to cost $200,000 now costs $300,000.
So you're saying real estate developers see a bunch of migrants rolling into town, and they go, let's jack these prices up. These Venezuelans are rolling.
And then the billionaires are able to come and buy the houses, and it causes the rent to go up, and they're able to charge certain prices, and a migrant can then move in with 8 other migrants and they can afford rent, versus the one person who has a family with 2 children can't go and get that house because
rent is going up because the richest people in the country don't care about people like you and I. And they're interested in making as much profit as they can and keeping us as poor as possible for as long as they possibly can until regular people can figure out how to get control and get a foothold in the government. I think that they want us to blame migrants because it's easier for them because they don't threaten their power either. So if they can keep us bickering about whether or not this migrant group got here the right way, then nothing will ever change, and we're just going to be here forever.
I like that. I like that.
To differ, but I do think there is corruption within the billionaire class here inside the United States, just on a
so they both agree on the billionaire
matter-of-fact basis. That the issue of supply and demand instantly comes into place when you bring in 20 million people.
If anything, wouldn't they lower the rent?
No, because then they have more competition, and they can raise the prices.
I just don't think that immigrants are increasing the density of New York City.
When you bring in 10 million people, there needs to be 10 million locations. Not 10 million, there needs probably 2 million. Still, that's a lot of infrastructure to be up. That's a lot of building to take place. You're going to be able to raise. It's just a supply and demand issue.
Yeah, I just think we fundamentally disagree on that, knowing how just greedy developers are in general.
If people aren't able to afford it, then they get they have to get Section 8, and then they get stuck in that system where if you make more than $40,000, you're going to lose your Section 8, and then if you go and do better, like there's the lower class is trapped here inside the United States because
the middle class has been erased by corporatization.
Yeah, and so
the small business sector has been gutted since Reagan.
Yeah, there's a huge issue with affordability and housing, and I think we'd be in a better place if we didn't just let in 10 million people through our borders.
Well, I guess we'll have to see. I hope that you're right, because that's what Trump is doing. You know, if the border's closed and in 15 years, everybody my age is just living happily in a 3-bedroom family home.
Prices will continue to go up because they go up over time, but at the rate that they were going up was unacceptable, and it screwed over me and your generation. Like, how are people supposed to be able to buy homes?
We can't.
Exactly.
But you think closing the border will make it so we can buy a home?
Well, the effects are already in place. The inflation already went up. Of the houses and the prices have gone up, and the wasteful spending has increased as well. And who's profiting? The billionaires and the politicians.
Well, I think they have a vested interest in making sure
and the NGOs.
Changes.
I don't think so. I think there's bad billionaires, and I think there's good billionaires in this world. And I think a lot of billionaires are trying to make a lot of change here in this world. And I think they create a lot of opportunity. You talk about Amazon. Well, Amazon also employs hundreds of thousands of people here inside the United States.
Who do you think are the 3 most benevolent billionaires?
What do you mean by the word benevolent?
Just well-intentioned, positive billionaires who you think are creating, net positive societal progress.
Trump, our president. I think he's a good one. I think Elon Musk. I think what he's doing is creating innovation. He provides lots of jobs to people. I think that's a good one. And then the third one, I'd have to think about that. Like, I think David Sachs, he's looking for innovation inside of AI and crypto.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good thing to be happening. I think that all the guys on the All In podcast, I had a conversation with them on their podcast. I think they're looking out for the best of America. And I think a lot of the people I think a lot of the billionaires are actually trying to make a difference in this world with their money they have, because you don't need $1 billion, and they know that they are able to use their resources to create change.
Why do they virtually get, taxed almost nothing, while the basically bottom 99% have to give solid 20-30% of our income to the state?
Yeah, it's unfair for us, and but that's also how businesses are set up. So if you're running a business, Elon Musk, they had to actually add on an extra number inside the IRS so he could pay taxes.
Yeah.
So people are mad at him for making money.
Yeah, I mean, I fundamentally hope that everything you're saying is true, just so you know.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Yeah,
I hope we all have the best interest in society and for our people, because the affordability is insane and people can't buy houses. And if we're talking about creating change, we need to let innovation prosper inside the United States.
Yeah.
And you're not seeing it. We're not seeing innovation. In fact, we're seeing fraudsters take our money.
In Minneapolis, but there's innovation happening elsewhere, right?
Yes, but there's so many restraints happening. Like, when have you seen an American city? What American city is prospering right now?
Austin.
Austin. Name another one.
El Paso, Texas.
El Paso, Texas is prospering.
Yeah. Nashville's doing good. Phoenix is doing good. Basically, any place with low state tax is getting a lot of.
In any place that's not Democrat.
I don't know about that.
I mean, name a Democrat city that's prospering right now.
Well, it would have to be one that's affordable.
Name one.
Denver.
This is the shit he cut out.
Why are you smirking? It's not prospering. Denver's not prospering either. Yeah, so I think what you're seeing is the right is looking to have innovation, looking to succeed, and you're seeing left locations like Democrat-ran cities not prospering. In fact, they're going backwards.
Those are also the most expensive cities, and they generate the large majority of the tax revenue for the entire country. The San Francisco Bay Area, which is a blue city, probably generates more tax revenue that's used for programs in the entire American South, excluding Atlanta.
That probably tells you why there's so much corruption, why there's so much bad, because you use the word programs.
Not programs, all tax revenues, so highways, basically every single thing that we need taxable subsidies for. So these still are economic powerhouses. Like, even money made in a blue state still cycles back on a federal level to benefit, everything that we use tax money for. The post office, fire stations, cops, and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So it's like,
why are cities? Why is California trying to essentially push out the billionaires by imposing another 5% tax on these people? When billionaires are literally the one who create opportunities and they create jobs for people, yet the people who you support, because you say you're left-leaning, are the ones pushing them out.
Well, billionaires are choosing to leave because they don't want to pay an extra 5%, which should kind of tell you what billionaires are about, right?
Yeah, because they're not able to then pay their employees as much.
I think they'd be able to pay.
$1 billion is not a difference of $2 billion to a billionaire. You can't buy, if you have $1 billion, that you can buy a $10 million house, you can buy a $20 million house. There's no difference. The thing is they're going to face different restrictions inside of a Democrat-ran state than they are in a Republican state. That's why they all moved to Texas.
Yeah.
That's why now Elon Musk, he left. He moved to Texas.
Yeah, they're moving to Texas to save money because they don't want their money to be taken and go to the poor.
No. And what happens in California? $24 billion went missing, Andrew.
Oh, yeah. I agree with you that Gavin Newsom and the NGO industrial complex is embezzling the funds, but those, to me, I know this is probably going to sound crazy, I view them as like not necessarily having the best interests of the people in mind.
Yeah, and those are the people you support.
I don't vote for California Democrats.
You're supporting the left. And right now you have the opportunity to support people who are actually trying to create innovation, change the country. You have the opportunity to. So does everyone watching this video. And if you think that deporting an illegal migrant is wrong, the word is illegal. If you think cracking down on fraud is bad, the word is fraud. If you think cracking down on the word corruption is wrong, the word's corruption. If you think a girl should be able to play, or a boy should be able to play in a female sport, it's a girl, or it's a boy playing against girls. What society benefits have come from the left?
We haven't had a sizable leftist political party in American history.
You had Joe Biden.
Liberals. Centrist liberals defending elite interests.
And you had Obama.
Centrist liberal defending elite interests.
So who are you going to support? You need to support somebody.
You're telling me that if you can point me in the right direction of a guy, but I don't see...
Stuff's happening right now. People can't afford houses right now. And then you're talking about
who am I gonna vote
people
for?
Moving out of California.
No, I support.
You're talking about programs.
I support.
That's the reason why it's so. California's one of the most expensive states in America.
I support voting on a local level, especially. I think that's probably the most important thing you can do. So I support voting on a local level for sure.
And if we want to create change nationally, if you have to support somebody, you have to choose.
Now we have to choose.
So if you have to choose between the Democrats and Republicans.
Well, you just said yourself that the corporate media machine is on the verge of collapse. What makes you think the two-party electoral system is going to last any longer?
Quite frankly, it'll be impossible for an independent group at this point in time. I think in 50 years when the boomers are gone, mainstream media will die. But as of right now, they're still going to thrive. And right now, in this moment of time, we have to choose who's going to create the most innovation and change and make America a more prosperous country.
But Trump can't even release the Epstein files.
He has released them, and
he has released them,
and that's his Achilles heel, is this Epstein file thing.
There's hella shit.
So
that
we can't do anything about
can't
that.
See shit
but what we can do is talk about fraud. We can talk about
Now the thing about the Epstein files, his Secretary of Defense or whatever, I think that's what you call him or whatever. They were all pushing release the files. They were going to release the files when elected. Once elected, they couldn't release the files. That's all I'm saying. There's a higher power, bro. You think if they had the choice to release them, they would have released them? Yes, they would have released them. But they don't have that choice. They're not the ones making that choice. They can't. It's someone higher up. It's not them.
We can talk about all of our money.
They have no choice. You have no power to release them.
Going back to fraud, about 7% of our taxes going to fraud.
We're never going to know.
About how $24 billion went missing for homelessness in California and how they're incentivized to keep people homeless so they can continue receiving money from the state.
Yeah, that's all true.
Right? Mm-hmm. So we can actually do stuff that creates change. We can't tell Trump to go release the Epstein files, and just because you support Trump doesn't mean you support everything he does. But he's the man in office right now, and you do need to think who's going to be able to create the change, and how are we supposed to be able to do it?
Well, he's in office, so I'm saying now is the chance to prove to people like me and like other people that positive change can happen. And if he does, it's Team Trump forever.
I would say he's trying to, but you're seeing what happens when he says he wants to go deport illegal migrants. Leftist judge block his orders, or when he wants to deploy the National Guard to Chicago to make it a safer place, Democrats weaponize it. Like, do you agree that Chicago's a safe place? Would you agree that the west side or south side of Chicago is a safe place?
I think that the west side and the south side are not safe places. However, I'm not sure how deploying the National Guard to that particular ICE facility out west is going to change the situations in O Block or somewhere like that.
Okay, so take a look at Memphis, for instance. They allowed the National Guard to go in there. Or if you take a look at Washington, D.C., they allowed the National Guard to go in there, and crime significantly went down. In 2025, Murders are the lowest they've been in years.
Well, they've been declining steadily since '94.
It's the lowest they've been in years.
One thing I want to push back on, too, is the conservative narrative that America was at its most dangerous point before Trump started cracking down. If you look at a graph, homicides have been trending downward since the mid to late '90s. For a long time. We're actually in the safest time. Every single year gets more safe than the last. And of course, there are certain cities like St. Louis, Baltimore, Memphis that will always have some degree of violence, but things are not that bad in the U.S. as far as gun violence goes. They're really getting a lot better. So if things continue, I think that we'll gradually be able to root out the problem.
If you look at the graph, it's an exponential drop in violence here in the United States.
I wouldn't say exponential. I mean, I think that
it's a pretty
if you
large
look at the video we did about Baltimore, they were able to cut homicides in half, and Trump didn't send anybody there. They did it all, inside the community.
Yeah, it's amazing. Cheers for Baltimore for doing that. Maybe if places in Chicago took that same initiative, it would happen, but they're not. So therefore, we have to trust the people in office who have the power to actually go make a change and to send a National Guard and to actually use them to make that place a safer place.
So what would they do in a place like South Chicago where you
What
have
would they
like
do? Yeah.
50 blocks that are in food deserts with no health care?
If you had a National Guard man patrolling the streets, do you think young gangsters would feel emboldened to go and steal from the gas station?
Yeah.
Like, we have the military, we have them, we have law enforcement, we have laws. People haven't always been walking around in shiesties and shooting people up.
They've always been shooting people. The shiesties came from Pooh Shiesty, who, by the way, is free now, and he's back in Memphis, so the homicides might be going up.
They're actually going down because the National Guard was there.
Well, I heard his song, and he said the war's back on, whatever, but that's probably not reflective of the data.
So, like, everything we're talking about...
free Pooh Shiesty. Hey, I love that Pooh Shiesty free. His shit slap. Everyone started wearing shiesties because of him, bro. That's on bro.
To create change with our platforms and with our journalism. What I just did is I exposed fraud, and within I think it was the next day, they freeze funding for childcare in Minnesota until a business can prove they're legit. All they have to do is prove they're legit, but no business has been able to send them proof of legitimacy inside of Minnesota. What does that tell you?
But you mentioned the ABC Learning Center in particular.
Yes.
And I mentioned that they did, I'm not sure if this is real or not, but they did release footage of kids entering and exiting the building during operating hours on the same day that you guys were there.
And their capacity is for 40 children. In that video, there was 12 children, and that place receives $1 million.
But you do admit there was kids.
Yes, and I don't doubt that there are kids inside of some of these daycares. It'd be very stupid of a business receiving millions of dollars and not to show face with a few kids. It'd be very stupid.
Do you see also how some people could say that you pull up with a couple dudes and cameras and they would get suspicious and not want to let you guys inside?
I can understand that, but they should be able to say, and when I ask the question, how do I enroll my son, little Joe, into daycare?
Well, there's probably not that many Somali kids named Joey in Minneapolis.
Okay, so then why is it only for Somalians inside these daycares? Where's the white little kids inside these daycares?
Maybe they don't go to like federally funded daycares. They get probably taken by their white parents to, I guess, white daycares.
Who's being robbed?
I suppose in this premise, the taxpayer.
Yes, the hardworking taxpayer, while Somalians are taking and committing 89% of the fraud in Minnesota.
Have you ever personally been defrauded?
I have.
What happened?
I gave a man money thinking that he was going to give me back on a loan, and he never did.
Did you try to pursue any judicial means to get accountability for that?
In the process right now.
Wow, that would be a crazy full circle moment. Don't you see this as potentially being a story that really evolves into a probe of the Democratic establishment in Minnesota and how they're kind of sloppily just allocating all these different federal and state funds as opposed to specifically highlighting the Somali community? Or do you see it as both?
89% of the fraud is being committed by Somalians.
Where exactly is that statistic from?
You can pull it up on
This is where you cut it out.
You'll find it.
If y'all remember at the beginning of the video, if y'all made it this far.
For sure, just so I can, I don't know, I believe you. I just want to make sure we have the exact.
Here, right here. Yeah, and it's not racist to say it. And when I go to the daycares, there's not a single white person running any of these daycares. Not a single white woman opened up the door. A lot of them could barely even speak English. Yeah, then you also have another issue with it is these people are Muslim. Muslims literally have 4 wives. And inside of these daycares, who's all working inside the daycare? Women.
As far as the wives go, that's not a thing in Utah?
It's not a thing in Utah.
That's a negative stereotype?
Negative stereotype.
How many wives would you like to have?
As many as God will give you.
I grew up with 2 mothers and I absolutely loved it.
The general population, 99% of the population in Utah, do not. That's why also going back to the point of being called, why we don't call ourselves Mormons, because you can misconceptualize that with groups that left the original Church of Jesus Christ.
Well, I would argue that less than 1% of Muslims in America have more than a single wife.
I don't know. Their religion allows them to have it. Maybe if they are, good for them. But that is a thing that they are able to have 4 wives. It's in their religion, and it's not against the law.
I'm just saying, when's the last time you've seen a Muslim guy with just 4 wives?
Well, they treat their woman differently. You'll never see a Muslim man praying side by side with his wife. They're treated differently.
So you feel like there's societal and cultural differences that make people from Islamic societies incompatible with the U.S.?
I think if you ask a Muslim man, if we were to go to war with a country in the Middle East, ask them who they would support. That will tell you everything you need to know.
I'm on it.
Yeah, and with the daycare fraud, there's legit videos. You can find them. These daycare owners then going and giving the woman cash, and that's why you also have 81% living on welfare, because a lot of the women don't have to claim the money that they just received from working from these daycares. It's a whole entire corporation. You have daycares, you have home health cares, you have adult daycares, you have transportation companies, you have translators that take these people to the hospital, and they're all working for that same group, and they're all receiving millions of dours.
Yeah, the NGO iceberg is pretty crazy.
And so why would you be actually doing paperwork correctly or giving these women paperwork if you know if you don't pay them on paper, you can just give them cash?
Yeah.
And then they can go and claim welfare and get food stamps and then claim housing and get free housing. Why would you do that? Obviously it's fraud, but it's screwing over Americans.
Well, it's time to stop getting screwed.
I 100% agree. And so we have the opportunity to make that change, and we have to do it, or else
we're going to keep getting screwed.
We're going to keep getting screwed.
And, I think that's the Nick, Shirley, Andrew Callahan message, is whoever you are, stop screwing us.
Yes.
All right, bro. Appreciate your time.
All right, that was a good interview. What do y'all think, bro? What do y'all think of both of their sides and both of what they're talking about? Now, we did see where he cut off a little bit of his answers, and what do y'all think about that? Because we did watch that in the beginning, so what do y'all think? Should he have left that uncut and unedited, or should he have kept it like this to make it a short interview? He did say redo it, which Nick Shirley did here. Maybe he should have said something there and leave everything in there, but, never know. What do y'all think, bro? I want to hear y'all sides and what y'all believe in the comments. I'm very interested to see after this interview, and I will look at all in the comments. So make sure you like, comment, subscribe, comment right to next. I'll catch you on the next video. I'm